Good morning, good morning, good evening, everybody. Get this little camera here working for you. Hi, I'm Joel Slick, your host, and tonight's rabbit hole. Yeah, well, we're going to talk about what Nick Zentner's been talking about, and that's Alaska and the migration of the whole entire west coast of North America, basically, from down Mexico all the way up into the Yukon and Alaska. That's the next subject for the next few months. And if there's anything else that comes up, we'll be talking about that too. So with me, I do have Canuck, my brother, and we'll be introducing him in just a second. Let me see here. Let's go ahead and, oh, that's already done. Sorry about that, everybody. We've already started. Yeah, let me see a full here. Full properties, and there we go. And I do have to bring that down, it looks like. There he is. There's Canuck. That's my boy. Gotta love the guy because he's my brother. There we are. Trying to find you there, Canuck. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, you are. And I'll cut this part out, edit this part out. It should be easy to edit out. So I'm gonna, yeah. Dun, 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 dun. There we go. So when did I do this? I'm gonna turn the other one off, put it off me, and then this one. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Tonight's Rabbit Hole. And with me, I have Canuck, better known as New Brunswick, Canada guy. And, well, I don't know if it's better known. Well, he's been on there a lot more in the ether out there in the internet. So it's probably better known. But from me, it's easier to say Canuck. I don't know. You're maybe are you a maple leaf rather than a Canuck? Is that what it is?
I don't know.
He doesn't know.
Well, Canuck is just the slang term for a Canadian.
Yeah,
So
I know.
it applies basically to anybody from coast to coast.
Yeah.
So crazy Canucks, that's where it comes from.
Oh, it does?
The downhill skiers, yeah, we're called the crazy Canucks.
I love it. That's one of my favorite sports, watching winter. I don't know. I don't know if I like summer as much as I like winter, but winter sports comes up here in February, January, February. So the new Olympics. It's been a minute. It's been 4 years.
Yeah, I think it's from the Winter Olympics back in the 70s, I think it was.
Oh yeah.
So that's what the ski team was.
Yeah, the
crazy.
downhill. I love watching the luge and the bobsledding and the ski jumps. Oh my God. And downhill racing. Yeah.
My phone's ringing.
Uh-oh. You getting a phone call?
Spam.
That's why I turned my phone off to stop getting the spam.
That's all I mainly get on both the house phone and this phone.
Same here. I don't have a house phone anymore. But a landline, I don't have it. No sense in paying it. It's more money than a cell phone, And you get long distance with a cell phone, so
Yeah.
But I don't even think my house is wired for. Yeah,
Probably
it's not
not.
wired. It's so new.
Yeah.
I don't think there is landlines out here anyway. But starting off today, we've not done a rabbit hole in a couple of days live. A Wednesday and a Saturday like we do, because you had a kind of a little medical thing going on, and I've just kind of like taken a break because I'm so overwhelmed with what's going on in real life. So there's been a couple of classes that Nick Zentner has put out that we haven't talked about. And if I look, if I look at what he's been put out there, I think our last time was probably when he was talking about the hidden beneath fault, number F. We're already on J. So there was F was the Baja BC fault hidden beneath, and then G was Tintina and Denali faults, and then H was the Canadian Rockies, and then I was the orphaned Amanicas, and then today's was the Carmanek lavas and Yellowstone. I didn't know what he was going to do today when he started with Yellowstone. I'm like, okay, this is kind of a review. And then I think I sent him a curve when I asked the question 3/4 of the way or right at the end there. Partly because, um, before most context or in context, most times that he seems to be talking and teaching, he sticks right in the Pacific Northwest, and we don't really understand how the rest of the North America came about. So him doing these series, especially this Alaska one, uh, is a stretch for him, in my opinion. And
Yeah.
and now he has to get beyond his comfort zone, and he has to talk about um, the greater continent U.S. and how it interrelates to the Pacific Northwest and the Cascades, because one of the courses he did was the Cascades, right? So um, the dates that he's been giving have been really interesting to me, and we studied the accretionary stuff over the last few seasons or winters. We got the insular um, accretionary event, the intermontane event, and now he's kind of interrelating these with the Tintina fault up there in Alaska and BC and Yukon, and then he's also, Denali fault is in play now, and a couple of the others. I think uh, these other faults and how they function. I think you and I have been talking about them for a long time, and it's really nice to have somebody else talk about it. To say, hey, yeah, we're watching just the earthquakes and how they kind of migrate north, and that they're on these kind of northwest to southeast kind of lineaments and fault systems that um, they're not dead. They're still active because there's still earthquakes. I mean, shoot, we just had a 7 up in the Yukon border, and I'm not sure what fault did we say that was on. The border range fault, I'm pretty sure.
Well, be in from it because the fair weather fault ends
Right.
right at that
Right.
Yakutat area.
Right.
So
So
it's on like faults that are just in land a little bit, but it's still
inboard, yeah.
it's just inboard of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you look at the quakes at 1899, they were offshore, and now the one that just happened, the 7, is inland from it. So you can see, and there was a quake there in '79 that was inland too,
Mm.
near
And I
whatever they.
think the last Yukon quakes, we're seeing them further inland. We've seen a couple fives in there, maybe a 6 over the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Um, so you can
Well,
clearly see there's some sort of
it's
uh,
making even more sense to me now because I just found the Canadian map from 2017 that shows how the Denali branches off by Haida Gwaii, and
mm,
now it breaks into 2 splay faults.
right.
They call it Chatham Strait Fault and the Chatham Strait Zone. So there's one that breaks right down on the inside of Haida Gwaii and it goes right to the top of the JDF. So
Right.
all those big lakes we have on the tip of Haida Gwaii is
Mm,
on that same fault that runs into Denali.
right. Wow.
And then there's another one inside that goes right through under Juneau, Alaska, and
Mm-hmm.
comes down. It's also the Chatham Strait fault zone, but it's on the other side, the far side of the strait. It comes right down, and I haven't traced it all the way down, but I bet it goes to Idaho because it's branching off right towards Idaho
Well,
where we.
often when we're seeing earthquakes, I'm talking about the three main faults that come out of Alaska, going right down the coast and into North America, into the greater U.S. And I'm saying, look, you can trace all these faults the way they go, because if an earthquake happens here, you can see little ones happening down that line, and you say, look, this is a connection. But I've not heard anybody talking about that.
Yeah, now that I have the Canadian map, because I've always wondered by what it shows here, Denali goes to like Haines Junction there,
Mm-hmm.
which is just on the Yukon BC borderline, and Alaska, all there in the wherever Haines Junction is. That's what it's called. So Denali always went to there, but then they have it branching off into this Chatham Strait fault zone. Two different things. Which before, when I looked it up, they always only took Denali to there. But now that I see how the other ones are coming down. One's going right to the tip of Haida Gwaii, right where we have all the big quakes. So when we actually get anything at the tip of Haida Gwaii, north of Vancouver Island, there in that spot, those are actually on the Denali Fault. If you extend it out by what this is showing.
Yeah, and that would be the on a I have a visual up for those who are looking at this channel here. Um,
Because I'm going to send you this map right now because
oh,
they
that's
have it
great.
on.
That's great. You can see that on this, what I have shown here, the Tintina up here is the Yukon Basin and all that. And then you can see all these, here's the Denali Fault right through here that comes down. And you can see where the Queen Charlotte comes offshore of Rangelia. And what he's saying is the Denali Fault goes all the way down and continues through here into that area of
The tip of Haida Gwaii.
tip of Haida Gwaii, and what we see in Haida Gwaii is like right up in here on this map. And let me see if I can find another one for you.
I sent it to you in Whisper.
Oh, okay.
And there was quakes in those areas in 2017. Well, what's interesting, that's the same year as the big Mexico quakes. So see, it's almost like it came up from the Mexico quakes right up the entire coastline.
All right.
So it's pretty interesting. So he has all the maps. So he's showing like the 2007 EarthJ. I don't know if he's even still doing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He had all the maps showing the faults coming down through BC and the quakes that were on them in 2017. So it's pretty interesting. So he has them all marked, like how they all come down and branch off and stuff. So it's pretty interesting. So I'm glad I found that map. I was just doing a search today because I wanted more
Put this map in here for you.
on the Canadian section of the Denali.
50 millimeters a year. That's pretty damn fast. Lake boundary shear zone. Yeah. The Denali's right here, the eastern Denali, and then there's a split right at Haines, Alaska. One goes through Juneau, and then another one dives south into Chatham Strait. Now I've heard the Chatham fault before because behind Sitka, I think we've had an earthquake within the last 4 years, right up in there. It wasn't huge, but the other one is right here that just happened.
The other one, I don't know where it comes out because the map ends there, but it probably comes out behind Vancouver Island, I
Uh,
imagine.
yeah, and there's what's interesting on that is if I just do the USGS. I'm just getting a map, and it's easier to work with sometimes when you just have a map to work with. And in looking at this, I'll turn that other part off. Here's the here's the edge of the JDF, and then here's where the subduction zone starts here. What we're talking about is it coming through Rangelia. Here's Rupert, and here's Juneau. So there's one coming on this side. There's one coming right down this riverbed sector right into the Queen Charlotte on that end. That's where one slag of this Denali Fault, and then the other one kind of goes to the east of Juneau. Rides all along down here. In the Queen Charlotte Sound, however, we often see a bunch of earthquakes at the top, and then as you get to about right here, they break towards Victoria rather than go down toward the axial seamount. Very, very, very odd how you have so much activity on one side and then none And then we do have a lot on the Blanco fracture zone there, and then the Mendocino. Those act totally different because they're strike slips. But this edge of the plate where the axial seamount, not a whole lot happens, but there is a volcano there that's supposed to have exploded, but they're waiting
Oh,
on it.
down he has more on there. He has the Yakutat block marked. He has all the big quakes: 1958, 1972, 49, 2013, 2012. He has the Kodiak Bowie Seamount chain on there,
Uh,
and he's showing all the quakes right at the bottom of Haida Gwaii.
who's that?
This same that map I just sent. If you keep going down, there's more maps. I was only down 2 or 3 maps, but the EarthJ has put all this stuff in there, like other maps. Crazy
All I got
stuff.
was an image from you.
Oh, maybe I made it bigger. Yeah, I went back one. Okay, just a second. I got to send you this other thing because there's
I
other.
figured you're going to have to send it me again.
Yeah, there's other maps here that are even more detailed that I hadn't even got down to. I'm looking at the first couple.
I guess I'm excited because the implications of what we're talking about now for Southern Cal and for Central Cal and Northern Cal all play a role into what's happening to Baja and down all the way through Mexico, and then what's happening up in Alaska, and then Oregon and Washington and in BC. Watching these quakes happen, and it's like, hey, we can perceive the pressure moving from one space to another space to another space. It's like, well, okay, it's not instantaneous like people want most of the time, but sometimes it is. And yeah, I see the big picture here, earthj.com. I'm going to save that in my.
Yeah, he has another map that's showing all the historical quakes and everything, going all the way down to basically
yeah,
the
he's got a good map here that I'm real interested in.
and tip of. Well, he even has stuff offshore because he's got the Kodiak Bowie Seamount marked on there and all this other stuff. So you can see how
you can see where the Haida Gwaii one is on the edge of that's the Fairweather fault, and then the other one kind of splays and stops at Rupert, and that's where the Chatham fault stops, and then behind it, it's got some, and then he has the.
Because Prince Rupert is where they want to make the new pipeline too.
Oh, that's where it is. Yeah, that's where that fault stops, but it doesn't stop there. You know that. It continues.
Down the backside.
Yeah, the backside of those mountain range on the shoreline there. Plus, there's a whole series of volcanoes interior right there. Isn't there like 4 or 5 volcanoes right there? Part of the Cascades, kind of?
Yeah.
Or the older Cascades, I should say.
Yeah, where the Kodiak Bowie Seamount chain, if you follow that right in, there's a line of volcanoes with that too.
Right.
So it goes like tip of Haida Gwaii, and then that's that hotspot track that's going inland.
Yeah. So yeah, he's got it stopping at Prince Rupert there. Probably only because of this one map. And you put in a. Did you put this one here? What is this?
He says where. Yeah, he says where he got the maps from.
Okay.
So he's using maps from like 2014 and 2017.
Oh yeah, there we go. There's the map of Haida Gwaii. There's the concentration of earthquakes right there at the bottom of this fault. Here's the Yakutat block up here, which we just had a pretty good earthquake. Then you got the 58, 72, 49, the 8.1 there in Haida Gwaii. This is Queen Charlotte Sound here. This is a Queen Charlotte fault right here. That turns into the Fairweather. I don't know why they changed the names. It just somebody has a pissing contest, I guess. I don't know.
Well, it just depends on which side of the border it's on. They name it different things.
It's all in the north, so I don't know, man. I just don't know. But you're looking at what, 1958? So that's 42 years to 2000. 49. Okay, 51 years. There's an 8.1.
And 49 was the same year you had the quake in the Puget Sound. So there was one in the Puget
49.
Sound, yeah, before Ida
So
Gly
you're talking 62, 63, 64 years of earthquakes. We have 1949 and 1958, 1972, 2012, 2013. All of these, and it was a 7.8 and 7.5 respectively. That whole area is for 60 years. Look at the 5 major earthquakes.
Yeah, and if you add
then you go 64 up there, just around that corner.
79 one in there too, which is the one that was just inland of Yakutat. It was a 7.2. Now that one's not on here, but that would have been the 79 one would have been just after the 72.
Well, I was referring to much larger earthquakes: 7.5, 7.8, 8.1, 7.6. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I don't have a concept of that size because the largest earthquake I've been around and was a 7.3. I know the jump from 7 to 7.1 to 7.3 is radically different. So I can't imagine a 7.6. I mean, a 7 moved the land about 12 feet. The 7.1 moved it about 15 feet. And a 7.3 moved it 17 feet. A 7.5 or a 7.9, man, you got to think it moves 20-something feet. So that's, and then an 8 and an 8.1, you're talking 30 feet, where the land just slides by 30 stinking feet. Jeez. It's like that'll split a stadium in half. You know, it's mind-boggling. Even if it moved, like that one video we've seen, it's quite popular now, where the guy's fence on the outside of the fence just completely rides right by it. It's like I think that was in Turkey, where the fence was sitting there, and then the whole side of the land just went boom, 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 whoop, and shifted for as far as the eye could see. And it's like, holy smokes. I'm trying to build a perspective for people who don't really understand what being in an earthquake is like. Isn't just like a shaking like this side to side, but there's a bouncing, and there's kind of a roundabout thing, and then a shifting, and then a rumble, and then there's this slide. Like the first one I been in 71, my front room did this, where I watched the split go down the front room, and the right side went out and kind of was floating out there in space, and it eventually came back together, but it's like one eyeball's going and the other one's going like this, and they're both acting independent. And it went all the way through the foundation of our house. So it split the, 4 inches of concrete. And we were on the end block of a series of houses, all attached. So and then you see in Japan that same kind of thing, where you see it like breathing, the land coming up, and it's breathing, and then it's kind of moving independent of each other. And then you see visuals of Anchorage, Alaska, and how there's 10 or 12 feet of a road down below, and then you go 50, 60 feet, and then it's back up to the top, and then the other side's down, and then another 20 feet, and it's back up, and then you'll see it split sideways. And so the radicalness of these earthquakes and the strength that it takes place kind of puts things in perspective. Then you think about, just in California, because I'm, basically from there in Arizona, both. Being through the Whittier earthquake, and then the Northridge earthquake, and the Ridgecrest, as well. But the Northridge was a 6.7, and we're talking 7.6. A whole point higher. And that's what, 40 times. I don't know how to even magnitudes difference it is, but and all the damage in the Northridge when that happened. And then what was the year was the Mexico earthquake? Was that like in the late 70s, early 80s? And that wasn't even next to Mexico City. It was on the shoreline, and Mexico City just fell apart, and a lot of people got hurt. Because the buildings and stuff. So putting things in perspective, these high magnitudes we're talking about, 7.8, 8.1, 9 point, or 7.6, 7.9, these are crazy, crazy numbers. Everybody say, oh, when's the next 7 going to happen? When's the next 6? A 6 can be super dangerous. A mid-5 is strong enough. There's so much damage to a city when a mid-5 happens. A 6.7 like Northridge. Devastating. Then you add, a 7 to it. On top of that, you add to an 8. The Indonesia quake of 14, right?
Yeah.
Oh, man. And then
if you look on that map, just the 2012 and the 2013 quake, which I didn't remember.
Correct.
Well, if you look how it's coming up there, well, that would make sense where we just had the...
Yeah, the top one at 13 was definitely a strike slip, and that second one...
gap between the other big quakes was right where we just had the 7.
Right. Well, yeah, that 7 happened right here at the top of the Fairweather, which just occurred, and you're looking at these bouncer balls here on this map. This one I'm always kind of confused with. Yeah, it's basically reverse thrust compression right here. That means out here went up and over this. And this one here is purely a strike slip, which you see sliding side by side, the 2013. I don't know that we don't have any bouncing balls on these ones, but I think by putting things in perspective and by trying to help people understand what it is that's going on, we can take some of the mystery out. A lot of people think, I don't know when it's going to happen, so I'm not going to worry about it. Well, if you live in a fault-prone area, you got to think about it. And the whole entire West, from the Rocky Mountains, excuse me, the Rocky Mountains westward, is earthquake country. And I'm talking all Texas, I'm talking all Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, into Alberta, BC, all the way up into Alaska, and all the way down all through Mexico. And why these things happen, that's what we're studying, the mechanism. That's why we look at answers outside of the normal uh, 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 the normal mystery of it. You know, oh, the spookiness of it.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny that that 7 happened right in the same area that Nick's talking about too. So
Yeah, right. You know,
yeah,
I think it's apropos. And both of us have been looking for something up that in that area for a couple years now because we've been seeing so much pressure moving that right up in there. Like, man, the Fairweather Fault just hasn't popped, and we expect it to pop. Um, and that frontal portion of Canada. If I showed people here, I know you can't see it, but you can just visualize what I'm saying. On the Canadian site here, and I'm going to put this over here for you as well. Um, you can see uh, right up here is where those up by Whitehorse is interior, right? But
yeah,
the Yukon right there, look how many earthquakes, and it is a basically due north south kind of row of earthquakes the last 30 days. So,
yeah. That first map that had the 2017 quakes on it, well,
mm-hmm.
that was the same year as the big Mexico ones. But 2018 is when we had the big Anchorage one. So see, you can see once again it was coming up from the south and then banging.
Yeah, and that's how we see how it works. Um, and you can see all these earthquakes here, and then the Fairweather Fault, absolutely quiet. The Chatham Fault Zone, which is what we just talked about, right through here, there's nothing happening. That other fault zone right back through here, um, and then you have out here north of Haida Gwaii, Dixon Entrance and stuff. There's just no earthquakes happening. Yet there's a major strike slip fault that goes Fairweather into Queen Charlotte and out here. Now it starts to pick up down here where the very top of the Juan Fuca is, and it might be what's creating these echoes out here. Look through, you can see some Bella Bella stuff that happened. And this is recent, this last 30 days, everybody. It's not going to give you everything that's been happening for, the longest of times. But, and this is only Canada. USGS doesn't report them. If I put on USGS, look, they're missing, right? It has a couple of these Alaskan quakes that just happened, and that's at the top of that's the Fairweather Fault, which is this little red line right here, and it kind of goes off. And Queen Charlotte is basically that. I think in one group of people have it as a Queen Charlotte, and the other group of people has it as a Fairweather. Is that how it works? Canuck?
Yeah, once it cuts across into the American side, it's Fairweather. But
Yeah.
the Canadian side is Queen Charlotte.
Yeah. So
Because it's named after those islands, the Queen Charlotte part, which is now Haida Gwaii, called Haida Gwaii. So before it was called Queen Charlotte Island.
yeah, that's right. We don't have Mount Denali anymore. We have what, Mount Roosevelt again?
Whitney.
Whitney? Is it Whitney? Mount Whitney? Okay, we're back to Mount Whitney, which I think is better.
One of the presidents.
Yeah, one of the presidents, yeah. Yeah, I like it better. Leave it at Mount Whitney. Why they change shit like that, I don't know. When you gonna help with the whatever, dudes, whatever.
Because I got into the argument with the guy that was from, or had been to Haida Gwaii, and he was saying, and I was saying, well, the name of the fault is still Queen Charlotte Fault.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said it doesn't matter, because he was arguing that we shouldn't be calling it Queen Charlotte anymore. I said, well, it doesn't matter. I said it's still the name of the fault. They haven't changed the name of the fault.
Right.
So I got going with him about all this stuff. I said the earthquake is on the fault. It doesn't care what
your name of it is. Yeah. But because they changed the names, it confuses people. So, well, I don't know where the hell that is, and it's like they're trying to hide it or something. And you got to wonder about some of these reasonings for changing names and stuff.
Like they might have changed the name of the island, but they didn't change the name of the fault. So.
What in
So
the Hectate Island or Hectate Strait? Um,
yeah, that's the backside of
yeah,
Paraguay.
Paraguay, yeah. And Vancouver Island, are they going to change the name of that thing? I don't know,
Probably
man.
they'll probably change it after
I think
after
I
the
think when the next big earthquake happens up here,
get it
we're
get
gonna
right.
we're gonna find out what the different names and shit were. I'm just so with it. The Rocky Mountain Trench, um, uh, is it or is it not Tentina? You know, I don't know.
Yeah, it probably just keeps coming down, and then it runs into the Intermountain Seismic Zone,
Yeah.
which is basically Idaho and Wasatch.
Yeah. See, we have
Really?
you have a bend way out here in the Mackenzie Mountains. There's a bend right here, the Denali. There's a bend right here, the Chugach, the Rangelias. All of these in Muscowal ranges. All of these were created by land masses that, running up against the North America. Whether it be Canada or the U.S., who cares? It's North America. Um, Alaska kind of was this little, islands and stuff were pointed straight up, but they came down. So it's like it got punched in the gut, it bent over, and it used to be maybe up, more up here, but now it's bent down here because of what happened. At least two or three accretionary events took place um, in the North Americas, and then they just kind of ran that north. You got Resurrection Plate, the Kula Plate, the Farallon Plate, now the Pacific Plate, and the effects. Um, what I found interesting too. I know it's the same kind of topic, but what I'm trying to get at is you have something on the coast affecting something 1,000 miles inland. The Salt Lake, where the Wasatch Fault is, those mountains there were created by an accretionary event up along the coast. So it's like, what? Yeah. So North America running into something is what's creating all these mountains. That's how mountains are made. That and volcanic experiences, all the Sierra Madre, the Sierra Madre Oriental, the Sierra Madre Occidental, mountain range buildings. And it's funny, you get too many things running up against something, all of a sudden you got a bunch of mountains created. Yeah, it'll take a couple mil, but to think the Cascades, the heights of the Cascades today, 15,000 feet, they were created in like 4 million years. That's not a whole lot. It's like, what? They were kind of like rolling hills. All of a sudden they got built up just in a short period of time.
The Great Salt Lake is just a remnant of the big gigantic inland sea that was there
Right.
at one point.
Yeah, at some point where it ran from Canada all the way through into the Gulf of America, which now I see that USGS has it as Gulf of America. They didn't. They didn't last week or the week before, so they did a change. Because I was looking at it going, hey, wait a minute, they haven't changed yet.
Well, they have been updating all their maps and stuff. So
Yeah.
I suppose changed it finally.
Yeah. So ancient North America, Laurentia, which much smaller until it created all these other land masses. It's kind of like this here is Kamchatka. The great whale may have been as big as Chatka. You see how long it is, elongated, and this that could have been, the Yakutat, and it could have been Rangelia that size, and then Silesia was just this little island that came in later, over the last 100 million years, and and they still haven't explained all these islands. You know,
Because I think PNSN changed all their stuff too just in the last few days. They're getting ready for the new year.
oh, have they? All right.
Like they have different options on the map now when you go into it for the tremors and stuff.
Oh yeah, they did change it. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Tremor map, tremor log.
Yeah, because I saw it there the other day because people were talking about it a couple days ago.
All right. Yeah, right on. I like this better so far.
Switching all up, I guess.
Show the
But I guess
trend.
USGS had to do it first before all the other ones
Plate contours. All right.
did it.
There's the seismometer heat map. I love the heat map, of course.
Yeah.
Default map layers. It's really JD of contours. This JD of contours, the most interior side is the deeper, and then goes light, more shallow, and then more shallow. These vibrations, these are not earthquakes. These are vibrations just west of Medford and Grants Pass. There's always vibrations up in there. And there's the Blanco fractures and all that comes right off there.
I haven't looked out to see if they updated the KML files yet for the USGS faults. They might have if they updated all these other maps. I just haven't looked yet.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Because they were supposed to here back a year or so ago. But
here's the real-time vibrations going on.
I know the Central American database for faults and stuff, they just updated that too. So it's brand new here, just the last little while.
Oh, excuse me. I apologize.
And one too, I think. I don't know about Mexico. I imagine they would do them all around the same time to put them on the Global Fault Archive thing.
All right, so there was something happened today. I'm going to play it through Nick.
Oh, and Greece, I saw an article about Greece. They just updated all theirs and added in, I forget how many they said, 250 to 300 new faults.
A KML file?
Well,
the problem with the KML file is Google Earth just can't handle it.
Yeah, it probably is. They probably have a KML file too, but I saw the article and it's like there's a website you can go to get it.
Oh, God, man, it's still chilly here.
But,
I'm yawning.
But I imagine they have it in KML too. I just never, because I saw an article saying that Greece had updated all its faults here just in the last month.
Okay, so here's Professor Nick. Here's an interesting event that Professor Nick, he's taking answers and questions now off today's class. But here, listen to this exchange here.
Let's do it. I'm just going to read it since the text, I can't get the text very large. Robert, I'll show you. Bob. So it turns out that it probably doesn't really matter whether they're flood basalts or not, at least for the Paleomag story. The composition and age of the Carmacks are close to those in the Slide Rock Mountains volcanics just east of Yellowstone. Whoa. What? The composition and age of the Carmacks lavas are close to those of the Slide Rock Mountains volcanics in Wyoming? There are also lots of 75-million-year-old volcanics up there that aren't Carmacks, and they're all much more closely related to break-off type magmatism than hotspot. But as I said, it doesn't really matter for the PMAG story. Stephen's idea was a great one, and as he wrote in his email, it doesn't matter if the plateau lavas or not. See above. What's going on with my text here? Can I not? Okay.
All right. So when he said that, what do you think his mind was just going about? There are a couple things in there. There are other volcanics, not just the Carmacks, that exist up there by the Carmacks.
Yeah.
In 70 million years to 75 million years. There's a little bit of a time frame. He said, but they're also very similar to that which is east of Yellowstone. And he also said that it doesn't have to be a hotspot magmatism happening, but it can be other magnetism happening or magmatism that's going on. But so what do you think Nick was pushed off by that when he was like, what?
Yeah, well, it could be coming through for different reasons, like wherever there was a crack, right?
Right. And the paleo mag is going to tell you, okay, this is the time of day, or this is the time of, how many million years ago. So it doesn't matter whether it's pillow lavas or the other kind of lavas. But so there's.
So when it was made, it would have been still way out in the water.
Mm-hmm.
Not. It was moved around when it got in there. Whatever.
I think too. It adding that information kind of made him go, wait a minute. So the Carmacks are way up here, and then Yellowstone's way down here. So if I were to pull it all the way down to here, then number one, that it would include a lot of Idaho. And well, what was south of Idaho? Like you talk all about. Well, they're getting pretty close to where I said. I think the Rio Grande Rift is an ancient plate boundary myself, but I think that was something that went over. When North America went over something, that it just kind of kept going, migrating west or east. And it might have been, hey, North America might have been even smaller yet. And whether it was 200 million years ago or was it 250 million years ago, I don't care. But
kept having add-ons.
Yeah, everything's accreted. And this is the kind of larger picture that I've always wanted from Nick, because he only talks about this little thing up here. I'm going, well, if you're talking about this, and then he's talking about, Baja to BC, which is like way up in Canada. Well, if that stuff's happening up there, it's happening down this way. Why don't you talk about what's happening down here? It's because he plain doesn't know. And then having all these other geologists and teachers and people hypothesizing like we do quite often, about these things. And then and again, like I said on the phone with you earlier today, I think I like your idea being the lineaments being associated with like a conveyor belt. Like,
and they're making the faults.
It's like a current, electric current as well as a physical current of magma that's pushing the plates in their directions that they're supposed to go. However, which way it is. We just happen to be on a northwest to southeast one here in the west. And you're on the east, so.
Yeah, and the faults may be more active at certain times, depending on where the terrain boundary is at that point in time. Whatever one that's being collided or accreted or whatever would be more active at a specific time, but that doesn't mean it's not still going to do other things too at other times. And then this is how you're getting the big movement north.
What was his name? Stephen Johnson, right? Stephen Johnson saying that that out in the ocean's moving, basically 10 inches a year.
Yeah, well, you can have straight.
Holy smokes!
And if it was direct north-south back then,
right? Prior to 50
It,
million years ago, yeah, north south. That all up
and it would have
Pacific was
been just
moving.
the water. So what would have been impeding it then? There was no other continent for it to crash into and
Right. And that is
run into.
until Alaska came over and swang into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Alaska came from the Baltic Sea, some 250, 300 million years ago. Kind of
Yeah.
swang on over.
Yeah. They think it slid through the top there
Yeah.
in between Alaska and Eurasia.
Yeah, there's parts of it that is part of North America, Laurentia, and then there's the other part that's kind of, and this is hypothesized too. It's like um, an interesting, like the big whale out to sea here in the Pacific, moving north. There's the big whale coming out of the Baltics, coming clear across the top of the planet, um, turning into Alaska. A good portion of Western Alaska. So it's like, you know, it,
Yeah, and like when Sarah Resky was talking about the Kobuk Fault, well, Kobuk is where we had all those swarms up there at the top back there a few years ago. Up there in where the big sand dunes and all that stuff is in Alaska. That's where Kobuk Fault is. Because when we looked that up before, the main town up there was Kobuk. So she mentioned that one, that this was all active. So that one is like a opposite angle, so it's northeast to southwest, the Kobuk Fault. Which all this stuff in Alaska is all running into that Kobuk Fault. So she was saying that that's probably where it was running to in the north, which is also basically where, like when you watch the quakes prop from South Sandwich Islands, that's where it's going to.
yeah, we can see it because South Sandwich Islands, that Scotia plate there. If you roll it back, however million years ago you want it, it didn't exist. Much like the Caribbean plate didn't exist in its current position, they both existed west of the South America and North America. So when South America came in, it kind of like all the way around it, and
Yeah.
it's like, you know, um, and
Which
then
is why Walker Lane goes all the way from North Alaska, right?
correct, and how it bends and turns and all that. Uh, you're calling Walker Lane basically a lineament, a north-south lineament, and the crust itself, right now it's kind of like at an angle northwest to southeast, and because of the Caribbean coming through and the Scotia plate and South America moving in between, North America moving over the top, and in Central America closing in, and Galapagos here. That lineament is still there. That's why sometimes we can see earthquakes in North America responding to earthquakes in Peru, whether it's coastal earthquakes or interior earthquakes of Peru, acting interior or more coastal in North America. Very odd how those similarities work, and Costa Rica being like in the middle there. And then it kind of say it's an invisible magnetic conveyor belt, so to speak, north from a south to the north, and it's an energy level, and we can see when more geomagnetic energy is put upon the planet, that these I want to say actuations, but I don't know what that word means. Just hear it. I might as well look it up. Right?
Yeah, now that Kamchatka happened, if it's doing the same thing it was in the 50s, we should get a big string of quakes coming all the way from the bottom of South America all the way right up to Alaska. So we should get bigger increasing quakes on the eastern Pacific side, coming all the way up. Now we had all those sevens at Drake Passage in the last year, so we probably should get like an 8 or a 9, probably in South America in the middle.
Enucleation means the act of sharpening or making something acute. Uh, the acuteness of these earthquakes that happen, that's what I'm referring to. So yeah, that works. The accuations, um, far out. Um, uh, we can see that meandering from the north to the south, or from the south to the north, and by far Alaska comes into play, and then we really see it. It's like every
So
place making room for it to move.
yeah, so after the 9 in 1952 in Kamchatka, it took 12 years for it to go all the way down to the bottom of Chile and come all the way back up to Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
So since we just had the 8.8,
8.8. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
it
we have a
12
the little dinger
to,
in Japan. Um, and I think the quakes are moving faster. So maybe back then it took 9 years. Maybe it will take 3 years this time.
yeah, well, I guess it all depends
Because
on
I
how
see an
much
increase in
power is put
activity.
in.
Yeah. Interesting though, bud. Interesting. Um,
And you had all the crazy stuff happening in the 40s before the 50s happened too.
yeah.
And that was all coming up again.
Well, you have the 60s. That was all Alaska and Chile.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, the 40s and 50s there, Japan and Kamchatka. I don't know about what happened in the 60s other than the two extremely large quakes that took place, the 9.5 and the 9.1. I mean, you're talking 60. I mean, you're talking 60 years, 60 plus years for anything close to happen along the West Coast. And there's been some 8s in Mexico, no? In the last 60 years.
Yeah, because
I'd have to do a search.
Yeah, the Mexico City one in 85 was 8.
Okay.
And then 95 there was offshore Colima 8.
Whoa. So.
So 95 Colima would have been the year after Northridge.
So 95, that's 30 years.
So
from
you can
Alaska
see what
down here,
how it's
and
alternating
then
back.
20 64 to 95. That's 30 years there. That would give us a thought that something huge along, and then we have 4 7s, 5 7s on San Andreas.
Yeah, 92 Landers was 2 years before Northridge.
Right.
And then you had 99 Hector Mine.
Right.
Then you had 2010 the Baja one. So you can kind of see how it's bouncing back and forth in between all these places.
Yeah, it's filling in. Yeah. So northern, and then we did have a 89 was the
San Fran.
San Fran. Yeah. Was that a near 7, I think?
Yeah, high 6.
And then we had another. Yeah, that was an 89. Then didn't we have another one?
Yeah, so 89 would have been San Fran. Then 92 was Landers. Then 94 was Northridge.
I can't stress enough. You know, the Landers quake was roughly 70 miles from me.
And 95 was Colima, the big one, but Ridgecrest also swarmed that year before it. So Ridgecrest has acted up before. It's just people haven't been paying attention. And then, of course, we had it 2019, which would have been 9 years after the Baja quake. So you kind of see what it's doing. It's like filling in all the spots where it missed, like in between the other sevens. Like if you probably did it, took all the sevens and started from like
That's what I'm doing.
uh,
You read my mind, bud.
Mexico right on up, you could probably see.
Yeah.
So
Here's the list, everybody. So from
started
1960 onward, right here, that's the oldest first, largest first. You got down there the 9.5 that happened in Chile. Then the Prince William was the 9.2. Chile again 8.8, 8.4, 8.3, 8.2 is in Peru. 8.2 is um, in basically Chile. And in Bolivia, 8.2, Kiki, Chile, 8.2 Central America, offshore Oaxaca, and then another 8.2
and see that
Chinook, Alaska.
1994 big Bolivia deep quake would have been the year before Colima had the eight.
Yeah.
Trying to see what it's doing. So you still need a big one in South America, pretty much, before the West
Yeah.
Coast north around it.
Well, most definitely the larger earthquakes are, and there's the Haida Gwaii that happened in 1949, in 1980. Uh, 9 times out of 10, all the eights are in South America.
Yeah.
All right. And that's what I tell people when I'm doing the reports. I say if you look just here where the Pacific Plate and the North American Plate run into each other, how many sevens do you see on the western side at all? There's one in Mexicali, and that's it. Right? So,
Yeah.
primarily what happens in the greater Los Angeles area will be 6.7. That's the largest quakes that I can find. Now you have the San Andreas, which is here, and then on the eastern side, you got the 92 7.3 Landers, the 7.1 Hector Mine. You've got the 7.5 Kern River 1952, and then you got the Owens Valley 7.1. No, that's a Ridgecrest, and they didn't even have the, well, because it happened way before 1940. I put all these are from 1940 onward. Okay, so I wanted to see what's happened since 1940, which is the last 85 years, right? And you can see Southern Cal, there's been 4 major earthquakes. This is the 7.5 Kern River. USGS has it 7.5 right now. I've seen articles where that's an 8. And so there's a little bit of conjecture here with the authoritative statement of what size of these earthquakes. And I don't think we have too much information on this. Let me see. No, we don't have any information because it's just prior to the time frame. And if I did this one here, which is the Landers, you can see the kind of earthquake here. I don't know if you can see that. No, you can't see it. And that's because of video capture device. Oops, sorry. Window capture. There we go. All right. This is the window capture here. Um, and this is for the recording that we're doing here today. That's why I kind of brought this up for you. You can see the type of earthquake it was in Landers of 92. Only 651 felt that. Bullshit. My God. And I'm zooming out here, magnitudes. And
Well,
see, they
and
still don't have it either.
too many people that would have been online to report it.
92, yeah, phone calls in. Let me check the 99 one.
Unless they did reported it by dial-up. Because that was like dial-up internet time. Unless you were at a university or something.
Yeah.
At high speed.
Yeah, they had a few on there. But, well, whatever.
Because that's when I learned how to use the university databases. That was my first year at university.
Oh, yeah.
So I was using the Gopher thing. So that was before we even had the regular search engines. So Alta Vista.
Yeah, there was, Alta Vista, I remember that one.
All those ones were all coming out right around
And it
that
was
time.
what was that one? The first browser I remember, Beyond.
But the one you could search the university
Navigator or whatever it was called.
Netscape Navigator.
Netscape Navigator, and
then Internet Explorer came out a little bit after that.
Yeah.
The first browser I used for a whole bunch on the internet was Netscape Navigator, and then everybody switched to Internet Explorer when it came out.
Yeah.
But I was using all these other. I can't even remember them all. Gopher was the one used to search the university databases that were all connected on the wide web. So I could go anywhere with that, States, Australia, whatever, looking for stuff. Because they got me to do like any project we did. They said, well, he knows how to do that and find all that stuff. Because I was going to find stuff in the library, so they just said, well, you go find it on the internet now. So that's what I did. So I turned the library into the world when looking at all this stuff through all these different means of accessing information.
Right.
And I find something, I say, well, look, somebody already did the same project. They did the same project in Australia. Now we just have to convert it to Canadiana and use all our rules. So I used to do that all the time. I'd go and say, well, look, somebody already did this project. We just got to change it and make it, adapt it to Canada. And they go, what, really? And I said, yeah. I said, we just have to incorporate our rules and laws into this. So like I was understanding it way back, like a long time ago, because all the Commonwealth countries, everything was built pretty much the same. Your statutes and laws might be slightly different. So you can take something that was done somewhere else and adapt it to Canada or the US or whatever it is you're doing. So that's what I did. So I'd go and find all this stuff. And they say, what? And I said, yeah, it's all done. We just got to change it and match it to our country. And they go, oh, well, that's nice. So are we all done? And I said, well, yeah, except for changing it. However long that's going to take. So it's wild, all this information.
Yeah. My buddy just told me I've got a little more time, so he's got to go to Home Depot, so that's good. He just had a birthday here. My buddy, neighbor buddy.
Yeah, because it's 45 minutes till supper here. So.
Yeah. So yeah, we can roll this one up. That's fine. I enjoy talking with you. I get excited about this stuff. Only because we're starting to see it. It's starting to make sense. And then when you get like people like Nick or these other guys who are, they've kind of held their opinions close to their vest quite a bit. And
well, the problem is faults don't care about borders. We're the ones that care about borders. So we're the ones that putting restrictions on stuff. It's not the fault line.
Right.
Fault doesn't care, right?
Or a specific discipline. you know, paleontology or, you know, geology, and you get kind of pigeonholed into what your thinking is. You can't think outside the box. And I kind of enjoy our discussions because we don't necessarily, you know, stay within, you know, at least my mind
Because
doesn't.
that's why it's so radical to all these people that are experts on a certain area, but then they realize, oh well, this area is related to this other area that's way down here.
Yeah. And if this happens here and this
And they go,
happens here, then my
other
idea about here is not working out, so I might have to adjust my thinking to adjust to this. And if I do that, then what does it mean about this that I've been thinking about for some time? It's like, wow, that starts to make sense, you know? And you see these guys get excited, you know? And it's great that Nick is a facilitator, much like what I do here.
But all it is just more information all the time, and then you're trying to figure out how it works. That's
Yeah,
all
but
it is.
I don't think people were doing it. I mean, Nick's been doing it as long as I've been doing it here, online anyway.
Like people may have had the same idea before, but they couldn't fully prove it. Whereas now there's
Sure.
more evidence to back up whatever they're.
And it's only because they get opened to the idea of just, hey, let's check, let's explore outside the box, so to speak. And we're gonna start calling you hippie pretty soon, aren't we?
Yeah, with my long hair, I get it all cut off.
It's getting into winter, dude. You can have it.
Yeah. Well, it's cold here now, so I like it.
Yeah, my hair is getting a little bit longer too. I shaved my head a while back and I said, well, boy, I don't want to do that again.
I've been keeping my beard because it's like freezing when I go outside.
Well, you should. You should, bud. You should see Luke's. Oh, God.
Because it does protect my face. I don't get like windburn if I got my beard on.
That's why he's doing it too. I mentioned Luke because Luke couldn't make it today due to he had to work. So normally he'd be on here. He'll see it tonight.
And it's way colder out there in the Midwest.
Oh my gosh. Some people got 30 and 40 below. I mean, what the hell is that?
Yeah, it's all like kind of sinking down in the middle. Like we haven't been quite as cold here lately because we've been having snow pretty much every day. Because I had to go clean the vehicle off. I've cleaned it off like how many days in a row? Because we get like 1 or 2 inches of snow like every day at least lately.
Yeah.
So, but it's been the last few days. It's been a bit warmer. But
your garage sank, so you can't even park your car in the garage. Or do you have all the wood pile in front of the garage, right?
No, there's nothing out there right now. But it wouldn't fit in there anyway, the SUV, because it's too tall. We did years ago. We put the cars in there when it didn't sink into the ground. You could drive them in there.
Yeah.
Like the ceiling was still low. It's like right now.
You guys might be better off selling that place and finding a smaller place.
I have to cut the rest of the ceiling out of the garage. It's half out of there now. So like when I go in through the door, I have to duck, but then I can stand up straight.
Because it's all synced that far?
Oh yeah. Like it's gone down. Like the doors in the garage I've cut off probably 6 times in the last 10 years. Because when I cut the bottom off the wooden doors, because they're wooden doors.
Oh my God.
It keeps sinking and getting caught on the ground, and then I can't get it fully open, so then I have to cut more off the bottom of the door.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing to get in there.
All right.
Eventually, it'll be down so low that only the mice will be able to get in. The only ones that'll fit in there.
Yeah. I don't think you can probably sell your house anyway.
Yeah,
that's a tear down. You know, I don't know.
The roof of the garage will be down to eye level, so that'll be easy for me.
Well, that's because you've got so many layers of roof tiles up there. You know, it's pushing all the house down. It's making it sink. The weight. So,
Yep. Well, the main house is not too bad. But the garage, because they built it on railway ties, like the shed.
oh no.
Yeah, that's what they did back in the 60s. Because that's when it was made, when they added the woodshed on the house and the garage. Because I can tell by the stuff it's made of.
Do you think if you repaired it, they would charge you higher taxes?
Well, they do anyway. They raise the taxes here every year, so it
What?
doesn't matter what, really. Oh yeah, our tax bills been going up every year, and when Mom passed away, we had to pay taxes 3 times on the same house, on the same yard. That's what they do now.
Why?
Because they assume the government, they changed this in like 2018. They assume that when you inherit a house, it's the same as when you sell it. So we inherited the house from the will, but the government treats it as a sales transaction now. So that way they get more money. So it's just like we sold the house when
Yeah,
we
your mom
inherited.
sold it to you, yeah.
Yeah, that's basically how they treat it. So then you have to pay. Well, you go to the.
Each of
We
you
already
have
had.
to pay, not just one of you, but each
Yeah,
of you.
yeah, we had the will. So that went to the court to be confirmed to say that through probate, because it still goes through probate anyway, whether you have the will or not. And then the province says, well, you own the house. Well, then you have to pay taxes for that. Well, then you pay taxes again because they say it's the same as being sold when it transfers to you from the will and the probate. And then you pay your regular property tax that year. So we paid over $10,000 in taxes that in the same year that, well, it would have been the next year after for all this stuff to happen. So what we paid in taxes would have been enough to put all new mini splits and everything in this house, but we ended up just giving all the money.
You'd be better off having a new roof.
Yeah, well, the new roof, the guys told me it was 30,000 here last year.
Oh,
And then I
shit.
had another guy come and look at it, and he said they're probably underestimating it. And I said,
because
yeah,
you're gonna
well,
have all the trusses and have to have those repaired as well.
oh, this is just all the equipment, everything they use now. They have to have 100 guys on the crew and all that. I could do all the same thing myself if I had the right equipment, and it would probably cost 1/10 the amount.
You're not as young as you used to be, bud. Come on now.
Well,
You're
the
good
guys,
once, but you're not
yeah,
good with all
the
of it.
guys that over the other place here weren't too much younger than me. They were using 2 lifts, which cost thousands of dollars to rent.
You might as well buy one.
Yeah, and that's what they were there for I don't know how many weeks just doing the roof
Mm-hmm.
and putting the roof on and cutting it all on the ground that I used to do when I worked for the contractor, and there was 3 of us and we did it all ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We brought the metal and cut it, put it up there with 3 people with ladders and staging. We weren't using thousands of dollars worth of equipment. And this wasn't that long ago, so that would be because I worked for the contractor from like 2005 to 15. So for like 10 years, and we were doing all this stuff with just 3 of us. And now you do the same project as 15 people, and you have 10 people stand around and 5 people looking and say, well, we should do this and should do that. And then that doesn't count all the equipment. And all we were using was a pickup truck and hauling all this stuff and getting it to wherever. And if it was something too big, we just got the building supply place to deliver it, and then away you go. And now it's the building supply stuff. It's the cement people. It's the roofing people. It's the electricians. It's 40 different contractors all on the same thing. And then you wonder how come it costs $2 billion to do anything. And that's the reason why.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're building a new apartment building up the street here from us. And it's been quite the production watching that. Because they put a big pile of mound of dirt, and then they couldn't get the cement truck in to the right spot, and then they had to have the crane with the hose thing in that connects to the cement truck. So
pumper.
Yeah, so they had all that trying to all get it in there and fit it on the street, and it blocked the street off all day. And the police showed up because the road was all blocked off. And the contractor said, "What are we going to do?" I said, "We got nowhere else to go. Of course, there's snow here now too, so they're trying to do all this stuff off the side street with all this heavy equipment. All and they just got the foundation done yesterday, and then they had to wrap it in the orange stuff because they don't want it
It's
to
got to
freeze.
dry. Yeah, it's got to cure.
So they,
It's got to take 30 days to cure, man. Yeah.
yeah, and there's about 15 guys up here yesterday, and then the police and whoever all else. And all the people are trying to drive through to get to wherever, and they can't get through. And then the school bus comes too in the afternoon. It can't get up the street because all this heavy equipment, all these pickup trucks are blocking everywhere. And I don't know what they're building the apartments for anyway, because the only one that can afford them is the foreigners that come in that get paid $8,000 a month by the government. So
Yeah,
I don't
I
even
was
know.
thinking about changing my name to Consuelo Gonzalez Amigo, and then going up there. Or maybe a Cinnabon rat tongue or something. And
And I
wear
had
a turban and go up there.
because I was out shoveling the driveway yesterday. That there's one of the houses across the street now. It's a whole bunch of people in it from Southeast Asia. So to clean their driveway out, one came in this big pickup truck, and the other guy came out. It took two of them to get the snowblower off the back of the truck, and then they couldn't get it working right. I'd been shoveling for half an hour, and I got more done in half an hour than they did in all the rest of the time they were trying to get out there to even figure out how to use the snowblower. I just laughed. And I went back in the house. I said, "Well, yeah, here we go. Bunch of Southeast Asians trying to snowblow now and clean snow out of their driveway."
Well,
That's right.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Bud. We'll close this one out. If you want to, any last words you want to put in there? Or?
That's all I can think of
Yeah, that's
for
all I
now.
think. I didn't want to get on too many different topics tonight.
I'll get into all the faults and stuff. So
Yeah,
it
yeah, yeah.
relates.
And you brought up a great resource. So, um, next class is going to be on Thursday, so we'll have a rabbit hole before then.
Yeah.
Prep,
Now I just got to
prepping it.
figure out how the Tintina and Rocky Mountain Trench. There's probably more faults that splay off it and come
Sure,
down and go to Idaho probably.
sure.
So that's
That's
the
that's the whole quest. That is the quest. All right, then. Thank you so much. Have a good evening, and we'll talk back at you. And don't get none on you, buddy.
Yeah.
Love you, man. Good night.
Good night.
All right, everybody. Thanks for being here with us. Remember, we'll probably do this again on Wednesday, and um, yeah, it's fun. So, trying to stay alongside with Nick and try to talk about important things that he's talking about, and where it's going from there. All right. So, see ya Monday morning. Yeah. Don't get none on you. Happy Saturday, baby. And next Friday, Steak Friday, baby.